Right then, tomorrow Manchester United are facing off against Fulham at the Cottage in our final game ahead of the World Cup. Now, Erik Ten Hag yesterday spoke briefly about the best interests of Manchester United are the only interests he cares about, and he will be playing the best 11 that he can with zero considerations about the World Cup, and that's fine. And ultimately, that's what he has to say, and that's what he has to do. Personally, though, I still think players are going to be worried. I think this close, you're talking about they're going to hear that final whistle, get a shower, and leave to go to Qatar. That's what's going to happen. You can't tell me that the World Cup isn't at some point going to factor into somebody's thinking. And that's a worry. Now let's talk about Fulham, because Fulham, I think they're level on points with Liverpool, actually. In the league at the moment. They've solidified themselves as a bang average mid-table team. They are ninth. They have probably been the most impressive of the promoted sides. United have won their last 5 matches away against Fulham in all competitions, but this one, with the circumstances being what they are, could be a test for us. We're going to be playing them after an abysmal league performance last week, a bit of a pick-me-up against Villa last night, but they'll be facing us where they've just held their own against City. They were denied a point by a last-minute penalty by you-know-who. Fulham do line up in a 4-2-3-1 system that can sometimes resemble a 4-1-2-3 when they go forward. Who's the man pulling the strings, Steve? Andreas Pereira. Right. He's got a bit of a fluid position, which unfortunately makes him awkward to pick up, and it kind of makes their shape sometimes awkward to pinpoint, because sometimes it looks like 4-4-2, sometimes it can be 4-1-4-1 or even 4-4-1-1. They stay, as you would expect, right? They stay compact for the majority of the game, and they look to build up through counter-attacks. Who did he use for the counter-attacks, Steve? Dan James. Yeah, it's like a throwback to the first season of Ollie, this. Or the first summer of Ollie. They also use Harry Wilson and Cordova Reed down the sides as well. But they build out from a bit of a 2-3 shape. Robinson and Reed, they like to go fairly symmetrical on either side. And then they have Palina as a central man who's more of a bit of a central pivot. And of course, they like to launch passes long. It's not the most attractive way of playing, but it is a way of playing and progressing the ball, and it can be effective. And you know what? It's very often effective. Those percentage balls catch loads of good teams out, especially when you've got Mitrovic up front. But with him out injured, they don't really have the same focal point. Now, would it be unfair to call it Route 1? I don't think it would be unfair to call it Route 1, in all honesty. But Mitrovic being injured, if he does actually miss the game, is a massive plus for us. Fulham don't really commit men forward, and they don't really go towards counter-pressing, so they prefer to go back to their shape first. So that's going to be very frustrating to play against, and probably to watch as well. So, like I said, this is going to be a tough old game for United. Prediction time in terms of starting 11, I think it'll be Leno, Robinson, Ream, Diop and Reed, Chabala, Palina, Wilson, Andreas Pereira and Dan James, with Vinicius up front. Star man, Andreas Pereira. What happened? It's not pre-season anymore. I know, but man's doing bits. He's been pivotal to their success and seems to have had a new lease of life. He is their prime creator, dangerous from set plays, as we know. That's whether a shooting or from delivery. He's got 2 goals and 4 assists in the Premier League this season. Not to be sniffed at. Jack Grealish should kill for them sorts of numbers. I think we're going to see a forward lineup that we don't necessarily like. I'm going to start at the back. Big Dave. I think he's going to try Malacia right back. And I think it'll be Shaw left back. And I think it will be Martinez and Lindelof. In midfield, Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno. And even though I don't think this worked last week, I think it'll be Marcus on the right. It'd be nice to see Anthony, but I think it will be Marcus. And if I'm torn on the injury front here because I'd like to see it Anthony. And if Marcus is the fitter, I'd like to go Marcus down the middle. But I think it'll be Anthony Martial. So I think it'll be Marcus, Anthony Martial, and Garnacho. Okay, then, so the star man, or the match winner for Manchester United, I think it's Garnacho. I think the kind of personality that he is, he will be absolutely revved up to play. He's got that sort of self-belief, which is huge. It's infectious. And I think he thrives off the confidence. He's obviously shown that he can be impactful. He's got 2 assists in the week. He's got the directness, the 1v1 ability. He can take another man out of the game. And right back's probably the area of concern for Fulham. I think he's going to have a big game. And the way that you beat this Fulham team, they're going to be in a low block. They're going to look to counter. So you're going to need a quick back line. Martinez is going to be very key in this. But we'll need to improve the passing in the final third. I think you push Eriksen up just a little bit. You use Casemiro to help screen the 2 centre-halves. You're going to look for those inch-perfect crosses. Something I didn't consider from the right-hand side, actually. He might go with Bruno, who's been pretty decent at delivering crosses, particularly against a low block, because Bruno against a low block is actually quite ineffective. Bruno thrives when the game's a bit more cut and thrust, but moving him to the right-hand side might be genius, because you still get his through ball and crossing ability from that area. You still get his pressing ability, but it keeps him in the game, because when you start putting crosses into the box and Bruno's on the other end of them, he ain't doing anything. But if you add someone with his crossing ability, you can get him out of the way. You can start putting crosses into the box for people who can get at the end of them. I actually might not be surprised to see United almost look like a 4-4-2 here. They might play Bruno and Marcus, and you might think Marcus is on the right, but it might be Bruno that goes on the right with Marcus playing off Martial. 'Cause I don't think Ronaldo's going to play. I think it's going to be Martial and Rashford. But that could be a way to do it. But yeah, we got to improve how we put the ball into the final third. Quick passes out of the back. Get the ball into their final third before they are set and organised, because that's when it becomes difficult. And you got to press. When they win the ball, you've got to be on them. They're going to try and break quick, so they're not going to have 10, 15 passes themselves before they look to open you up. They're going to look for like one reset and then boosh over the top. So you need to instantly lose the ball and get on the press. Pressuring players like Andreas Pereira, let's be honest, could win us the game. And we can't make it comfortable for them. If we can't have another 50-50 game, because I actually think that they'll get a point out of that and they'll consider that a win. And then you've got to have shots. We need a lot more shots on goal. This is the sort of game where you need to be thinking we're going to have 20, 24 shots to be able to get 2 or 3 goals in this one, because it's just set up for one of those days, this. And we struggle to get that first goal because I don't think we've been taking enough risk in the final third. With Bruno coming back into the fray, well, that's going to change somewhat. And also, Leno's not the greatest keeper in the world, so I think we need to test him rather than trying to find the perfect pass and a perfect opportunity to score. Let me know your score predictions in the comments, and I will see you after the game. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.